Okay guys, response to the environment by humans. My name is Mr. Mpepu. I personally welcome you to my session or to my class. Today's date 17 April 2024 and the time there 21 minutes past 12. Wednesday. Today it's Wednesday. So with that being said, guys, Bonani, Domelani, Avsheni, hello, Nda, guys. Today we'll be dealing with corrections and past examination questions following our Monday and Tuesday lessons under response to the environment by humans. So guys, with that being said, let me welcome you. All of you are new here, we welcome you, and those who subscribed, 70 subscribers by the way. Yesterday I checked, we were at 70 subscribers. So guys, I have a class to teach because of these 70 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, guys, please subscribe there so that you'll be counted with our 70 students, right? So grade 12 students and or anyone who just want to start, who just want to learn life science, right? So I welcome you. We don't discriminate, whether you are LGBTQ2 square plus, everyone, right, from all corners of South Africa. You are white, you are black, you are pink, you are purple, you are disabled, you are what, you are albinism, you everyone, right? So subscribe there. We are 70 71 with me, right? So okay, Caps topic with that, sorry for that. We started on the 18th of March 2024, and today 17th of April marks a day here under week 5, right? So tomorrow 18 April will mark our 1 month cycle, right? We'll be celebrating our 1 month what as a class, right? So subscribe if you haven't subscribed, guys. Let's move on. Week 5, you'll agree with me that this time around we are dealing with or we are under the CAPS topic, responding to the environment by humans, right? We did human nervous system, we did central nervous system, we did nerve and the reflex arc, right? Having our Monday to Tuesday weekly plan. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, right? We said Monday we're going to do human nervous system, introduction to how humans respond to the environment, and then Tuesday we did our nerve and the reflex arc, saying that this nerve is the bundle of neurons, and then today's Wednesday we are going to do questions and answers, right? So thank you for being here, thank you for tuning in. You could have been doing something else, guys, so I welcome you and I appreciate you for being here. So subscribe, guys, like and subscribe. Let's move on today. Okay, with that being said, this will be our answering book. Today it's 17. Let me set on the pen there, color white, thank you. And today's date 17 04 2024. So I welcome you guys to my class. Here will be our question paper. So another thing that I can advise you is to set this screen to a full mode, and also set the quality to HD so that you'll be able to read the question this side and able to read my answers this side, right? So before we can come here, guys, since this is a series, or since this is what is happening from Monday to Friday, you will allow me, or you will agree with me that we will have to do a revision, right? A small revision of the recap of Monday and Tuesday. Monday and Tuesday we did the nervous system, we talked about central nervous system, and then we are saying that peripheral nervous system and autonomic nervous system, we are going to do this Thursday. And yesterday we did nerves, the structures of nerve and the reflex arc, right? You were here. Were you here? If yes, comment there that you were here. So this will be our examination guideline. From our examination guideline, we started here, and then today we did this, 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 right? You'll agree with me. These two, we are going to do them Thursday, and here we are going to do this Friday, right? So yes, Friday disorders. So Friday, and then here will be our green book. With our green book yesterday, let's recap what we did yesterday, right? We can use this green book or our mind the gap. Sorry, we can use our mind the gap to recap on what we did on our previous lesson. Let me increase here. Sorry, Askis. Then yesterday we did neurons, right? We said these are the neurons, and the neurons have a cell body, nucleus inside, and the cytoplasm and the cell membrane here, and the dendrites here, myelin sheath protecting the axon and the axon terminal, right? We did this yesterday. It's just a reminder. And then after that, we did 3 types of those neurons, right? What are neurons? Neurons are nerve cells, right? These are nerve cells. Nerves made out of neurons, right? We have 3 types of neurons. We have sensory neuron. This will be the sensory neuron here. I even said this, some books, they say this is an afferent neuron, bringing information to the central nervous system, right? with this sensory neuron, how are we going to identify it? We are identifying it by our cell body that is protruding outside of our axon, right? Having this an axon, and also saying that we have to pay attention to the direction of impulse, right? This sensory neuron, dorsal root, central nervous system, then from there motor neuron, right? Motor neuron, how do we identify motor neuron? It is attached to the effector muscles, and also the cell body here. As you can see, the cell body is surrounded by those dendrites, right? Different from our interneuron, also called connector neuron. This one will be motor neuron, also called efferent neuron. And then we said our interneuron, the body is at the center of our cell, right? So this will be our cell body, made out of nucleus and the cell wall or cell membrane. Yes, we don't have cell wall in our animal cells, right? And then there we have the dendrites here, and then we have the terminal axons here, right? We even said that these axons, they are myelinated. So as you can see here, they are not myelinated, right? Myelin sheath, right? They are not or they are not insulated. So it means that the electric pulse is not going to move faster, right, compared to the one that is myelinated. So this is just a revision, guys. This is just a revision. We are just passing by, and we did a reflex arc. We said we have a reflex arc, and we also have a reflex action, right? An arc is a pathway, and a reflex action is a quick autonomic action, right, or a response, right? We can say it's a response here, or a response, right? So we also have a reflex arc. We say this is the pathway, right? This is the path along which the impulse, right? We don't say message, although we use a message for us to understand this concept. But here, whatever it's moving is the impulse, right? The impulse is transmitted. So this will be our example of our reflex arc, having our picture there. We will start with our receptor. Receptor will produce will convert the impulse, the stimuli into the impulse, and the impulse is going to be passed to the sensory neuron. Sensory neuron is going to release neurotransmitter, and the impulse will be transferred to the interneuron. From interneuron, the message here is going to produce a neurotransmitter, and the impulse will be transferred to the motor neuron. From the motor neuron, they are also going to release another type of neurotransmitter, and the impulse will be converted, or will be sent to the effector. This one will be the muscles, or the organ, or the gland, right? So we did all of this, explaining this, that we have an interneuron there's an interneuron at the center, and then we have the motor neuron, and we said the one that is passing by the dorsal root there, it is going to be our sensory neuron, right? And the one that is passing other side, which is ventral root, it will be a motor neuron, going to affect an effector. We did this, right? So you will agree with me, after that they are bringing us activity. So from there we can move on and to come our textbook. We did this under our textbook. We did everything. I'm not sure if I have to go up there and remind you everything, or we can just come here and do our homework as we agreed, right? So we can come and do our homework as our agreement. Today it's about this. It's about correction, right? Corrections and past examination paper, right? And past examination questions, right? Question will search for 2 or 3 any question, but they ask them like this, right? One thing that I can advise you is that every question that you are going to get, this is what you are going to be asked. Whether the what do you call this when now you should be able to identify this neuron here, what type of neuron is this. And then another thing, you should be able to say that if it's, you should be able to know the function of myelin sheath here, and also if this one is covered and the other one is not covered, if this is cut, which neuron. We have sensory neuron, and then we have the interneuron or connector, and we also have the motor neuron, right? So you also have to know to identify these 3 types of neuron, right? You will see the sensory neuron will have the receptor, passing it to the interneuron, and the interneuron coming back and bringing this to a motor neuron. And the difference between motor neuron and sensory neuron, I said that sensory neuron, they have the body protruding outside of their body, and then the motor neuron, the body here, or the cell body here, it's inside there, or whatever here is happening inside the central nervous system. Their cell body here, they are inside central nervous system, and then the axon will be the one to pass the message, or to pass the impulse, sorry to say, pass the impulses, because they say we don't have to use the word messages, right? You will agree with me, yesterday we were using the message. It will pass the message, so that you will have to understand there is something that is being sent somewhere, so that that thing is going to be interpreted. But from now on, we are going to use impulse, right? The thing that is being passed is an impulse, or it's a message in a form of an impulse. So they will agree, or they will want us to use the word impulse, right? So I hope you are clear. I hope we are clear. We can move on from there, right? Having that, we are also going to use the impulse there, right? So activity 2 there. Then you are going to write activity 2. I wanted to decrease the pen. Sorry. Thank you for being here, guys. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Activity, you see, activity 2, right? So with our activity 2, let's move on. You can come here, and if you want, you can come here and decode the question, right? You can see which type of neuron is this, and what the label number A, dendritis, number B, a nucleus there, number E, cell membrane. This will be the cell, you can see there, this will be the cell membrane, and then number C, this will be the axon, number D, this will be the myelin sheath, right? So go on to the question number 1. But number 1, identify the type. Can I move this up a little bit so that we can be able to read? Number 1, name the type of neuron shown in the diagram above, right? The type of neuron shown in the diagram above, this will be a motor neuron, right? Thank you. Those who wrote, they wrote. Those who didn't write, you can pause, answer the question, and come back and replay the video, or you can just do this together as a class, right? This one we're going to say this one is a neuron, a motor neuron. Then number 2, identify the parts A up until E. A, B, C, D, E, so that we don't miss any part, right? 5 marks. Number A, we say this one at the dendritis, dendrite, many dendritis, right? So here you are going to write dendrite, many dendritis, right? Then number B, where is number B? Number B, we are going to say this one, it's a nucleus, right? You can agree with us, this one is a nucleus, because the cell body, it was going to be something like this. This one will be our cell body, right? All this part here will be our cell body. So nucleus. Number C, what is number C? We say this one is an axon. You can see there at the center, right? Axon, axon here. You can see there at the center that it's an axon, right? What is the function of axon? To transmit impulse from cell body to the axon terminal, right? Number D, where is number D? Yes, number D, myelin sheath, right? Anyhow you cram the spelling should be right, because if you write something else, it won't be like that, right? You can hear I also crammed here like this, myelin sheath, right? Then number E, where is number E? Our cell membrane, right? You can see this is not cell body. A cell body, everything here is a cell body, right? And number E, that this will be the cell membrane. It can't be cell body, so don't make this kind of mistake. Here they will say label number E. They can also come here label number B, because you can see that the mark there is not close, or it's not touching the nucleus. You might sign that. You can find another one here being a cytoplasm, right? So those are the parts that you have to know, right? You have to know the cytoplasm, you have to know the nucleus, you have to know that we have a cell membrane, we also have the cell body, we have the dendritis, we have the axons, and then we have the myelin sheath, and then at that side we have a axon terminal. Those who want to study further, they will even go to a point where we have synaptic knob, right? So that is it. We are moving on. Number 3, let's go to number 3. Number 3, provide this side. Number 3, provide the function of the parts labeled number A. They want parts labeled number C. So you go to number C. Number C, it's an axon, right? But provide the function of the following parts. Number C, to transmit. You will say to transmit impulse, not message. To transmit impulse impulse from the cell body, right? And then number B is number D. Then the one number D, function of number D, myelin sheath, to insulate. You can say to insulate the axon, or you might say to speed up, right? To speed up a transmission of impulse, right? Transmission of the impulse, right? We are no longer going to use the message here. Everything that is going there is an impulse. What is an impulse? Is an electrical signal. So right? So that impulse, that is an electrical signal passing. When it comes here, because this axon is insulated, they might ask you in some questions if maybe they bring another one with insulated and the other one without insulated, without this myelin sheath. They can ask you a question between these two, which one the speed, the impulse will move faster, right? The impulse will move faster between those that are myelinated. So you have to know the function of this myelin sheath, right? So they will ask you those questions, or they can ask you, since this one is a motor neuron, it means that you know that it's transmitting an information from central nervous system, which can be the brain or the or the spinal cord, to the effector, right? So they can ask you what will happen if we cut this, or this motor neuron is being cut, right? You will know that the message will not be transferred, or the impulse, the impulse will not be transferred from a central nervous system to the effector, so that you are not in that return, or in that default, or in that whatever I want to say, in that cut, or in that will result in you not responding to the stimuli. So we move on. Number 4. Let's go to number 4 fast. Number 4, it says describe the pathway of an impulse through the neuron shown above, right? Describe the pathway of the impulse, how the impulse will move under this neuron, right? You'll start by saying okay, the impulse, the dendritis here, it will start here, right? It will start at A. The dendritis, you'll write it down. Dendritis will pick up, yes, will pick up will pick up neurotransmitters, or it will pick up the impulse from central nervous system, right? Central nervous system. This is what the impulse is going to do. It's going to be picked up at the central nervous system by the dendritis, right? And then the dendritis will pass, and then it will be passed. We are still talking about the impulse, right? Or this impulse, it will be passed down to the cell body, right? This is the pathway of the impulse. It will be passed to the cell body. You are writing, and from cell body, the impulse will then move down to the axon, right? Will move down to the axon, or will move down through the axon, right? Move down to the axon. I was affording to write to the impulse will then move down to the axon, again to the axon terminals, right? Let's just use axon terminal and end our question here, because it's only 1 mark. Describe the pathway of an impulse through the neural system as shown above. 1 mark. So I'm not sure if they want this 1 mark as like the impulse. If they say 1 mark, let's put this in a 1 mark answer, right? Let's move this. Yeah, whatever I was saying was right if we were to describe all the pathway, but if you can see, it's 1 mark here, so it will deny that the impulse will move, or the impulse, you will say impulse, article they want the pathway of the impulse. The impulse moves from dendritis down to the cell body, to the axon. So you are done. However, you are going to explain this. It's 1 mark either way. Number 5, they were like, draw a fully labeled diagram to show the structure of a neuron which receives a draw a fully labeled diagram to show the structure of a neuron which receives the impulses and transmit them to the central nervous system. So they want a diagram of what here? The one that bring, or the one that pick up the neuron, the one that draw a full label diagram to show the structure of neuron which receives the impulses and transmit them to the central nervous system. The one that is receiving the impulse and transmitted them to the central nervous system, this will be a sensory neuron, right? So you'll come here and write sensory neuron, right? A neuron. This will be your heading, right? You can write this on top, you can write this on bottom. Let me move on like this. You are coming here, say number 5. So with number 5, we are drawing the structure of sensory neuron, right? So the sensory neuron will have a receptor, a simplified, we draw a simplified, right? Then we'll have the dendrites there, maybe 2, let's use 2. And then we move this, we come here and have the cell body. That this is the different, or this is what differentiate a sensory neuron to a motor neuron and to a what we call another one, to a interneuron, right? So here we'll have those terminals there, right? You can even include the myelin sheath here, then you can even include them there. So you know, with this grade 12 you have to come and write a sensory neuron, right? You have to come and write the table there. You have to come and give the description of your diagram there. And then with this one, you are going to say this one will be the receptor, right? And then this one will be the dendrites, and then this one here, either way you can just come and do like this. And then this one will be the cell body. Then this one will be a myelin sheath, right? You might find it's 4 marks. You can see the only one they are going to give you one here. They are going to give you one of the correct structure, and the 2 they are going to give you for any 2 labels here. If you write receptor, maybe the receptor one, maybe they cannot give you because this is not the part of the neuron, right? The part of neurons that here from the dendrites. They can come and give you 1 year dendrites and 1 year cell body. So all in all, you will have these 4, right? Mind you, don't forget this. NB, don't forget to label your drawing, right? So this one is the simple structure. So you can see that we don't even want you to write the layer protecting myelin sheath, the nucleus there of what, right? This is a complex. And then here you can also write, you can also label the axon. That one you have to know. And then another one you also have to label the terminals here. Any labels, right? The terminal of axon, right? So these are the simplified what we call structures, right? Simplified labels that you can come up under this activity, right? So yesterday we did that. We also did the reflex arc. If you still remember, this is happening in the reflex arc. We did this yesterday, so I don't want to waste much of time of those who are following us day by day, right? They are here for correction, so let's give them this correction, right? And then after that, we are going to activity 3, a reflex arc, right? This is a reflex arc. We did it yesterday. I talked to here. Number 1, this one will be the sensory or a receptor. They are called receptors or sensory organ, right? Sensory organs or cells, right? These are the one that are sensing, right? From there we'll go, here's the thing, we have the dorsal root here. This dorsal root here suggests that a nerve that is coming into the dorsal root will be the sensory nerve. And then number B, this one will be the dorsal roots. And then number F can be a motor neuron or the ventral root. And then we can see we have the interneuron there at the center. We have all this, right? And then we have effector. We are just decoding this question, right? Preparing our mind so that we can come and answer this with ease. Number 1, and then they said number A, B, C. Give only the letter of the part that represent there. You can write A, B, C, right? You go. They only want the letter there, but give the letter that represent the effector. In this one is going to be number E, right? And then that one represent the interneuron. Where is the interneuron? Where is the interneuron there? We don't have the letter that represent interneuron here. That will represent the interneuron. We don't have the letter that is representing the interneuron. Maybe A, if A was pointing here, but the A is pointing somewhere. It's pointing at a sensory neuron. We said this yesterday. This one will be the sensory neuron because you can see it's bringing the information to the interneuron, and the interneuron is connected by the motor neuron. How do we differentiate these 3? The motor neuron, the cell body there, is surrounded by the dendrites, and then the interneuron there is found inside the central nervous system or the brain, and the sensory neuron is the one that is bringing the sensory the impulses there. So which one is it going to represent the interneuron? None, right? We are going to say none. But if we are going to say A, if A, right, we cannot put things that are not there. The one A, we are just thinking that the A, they have a mistake here. The A, they should have marked it there, right? If they want us to identify this neuron here as a interneuron. You'll agree with me, right? We are agreeing here, my friends, my colleagues, my beautiful people. We are agreeing, right? None. I'm not sure if, but they are going to give us this none. They are going to give us answer here. if they are coming and say A, or they can just A, none, because if you say A, it means that you are not understanding. So we are going to stay with none. Then number C, sensory neuron. Which one can represent sensory neuron? Can be A there and C, right? This one can be C or C and A. C and A, right? To show that our A here, we can see this one is a sensory neuron, and we can also see that this number C here is also a sensory neuron, right? So we move on. We move on this side, we come to number 2, and then number 2, we can shift here up, right? Let me shift up until here. Number 2, state the function of each of the following parts. Number A, with the one function and the one function, right? One function only of number D. Where is number D? Which one is number D? Number D, our sensory or our receptor. This one will receive or will recept or will detect, right? Will detect the stimuli. Right? It will detect the stimuli, or we can say it will convert the stimuli to impulse, right? They said one either way. It will convert the stimuli into impulse, right? Impulse. So they said 1, and then number B is going to be number F. So then get this mistake, right? They say number A, number D, they want to confuse you, because when you'll say number A, when you come to number B, you'll come and check the function of number B here, unless they want function number F. Function of this number F, what is this? This one is a motor neuron. What is the function of motor neuron? A motor neuron is to transmit. We say this one is going to transmit the impulse, transmit impulse from a central nervous system to the effector, right? So that is the function of number F, right? You can see it's transmitting from central nervous system, right? You can write CNS. Okay, another thing, if you still remember, I told you that when we abbreviate, that is the word, right? When we abbreviate some words, make sure that somewhere at the beginning of your answer book, if this is going to be our answer book, if I didn't say anything about central nervous system up there, I'm not allowed to come and give this abbreviation here. So what I'm going to do here, you have to come and write the entire thing. Central is your first time using this abbreviation. You're going to write central nervous system, right? System, and then in brackets you CNS, so that when you follow on with your answer, you are just going to write CNS. But if you haven't write the full abbreviation, this one here, they can penalize you somewhere. I saw that they can penalize you for writing CNS, because we also have different things that are named CNS, mulfasing, right? We have YouTube channels, we have a TV news named CNS. So you have to write central nervous system in brackets CNS. So from that answer that you put at your first answer book, going down, we can now use CNS. I did this when we were doing mitochondrial DNA, right? You'll agree with me. Let's move on. That was a tip, nyana. Then number 3 here, going to number 3. Number 3, explain why the brain is not initially involved in a reflex action. Number 3, we talked about this. Explain why the brain is not. It's not like, but it's not initially. It's not like the brain does not get involved, right? But initially, the brain does not involved. But explain why the brain is not initially involved in a reflex arc. The answer there is that the spinal cord, right? The spinal cord can we want to say can interpret or can complete the reflex arc, a reflex arc without sending message, without sending the impulse to the brain, right? So you explain one thing, you can say it's 3 marks, so you will want to explain more, and the why. They're saying why the brain is not initial, so it means that the brain is involved, and then this, whatever is happening here, we are going to say this increases or reduces the time of reaction, right? This reduces the reaction time, right? Reaction time compared to when the impulse it is transmitted to the brain. Anyhow that you want to answer this, now I'm just giving you a small class discussion, right? We are just using our understanding of how can we explain why the draw is not like it's not involved. It's involved, but initially it's not involved because the spinal cord here can complete the reflex arc, right? So that you can complete the reflex action. You know, the reflex action is you taking out the arm, right? Compared to if this impulse is transmitted to the brain to be interpreted in the brain. And then we know that when the brain is involved, after this, the impulse is going to be sent up to the brain. And then that's when the brain is involved to register the pain, right? To register the pain. So your brain now is going to tell you that, hey, you bent there, and then here's the pain, or here's the magnitude from 1 up to 10. This is the scale of the pain that you are going to have that you are going to feel from that reflection action that happened. So it's not involved because the spinal cord can complete the reflection arc and it can reduce the reaction time, right? After reaction time, that's when you can say, you can have 2 here and have 3. Let's go to number 4. Number 4, explain the effect on the body. We want the effect on the body if the following parts were cut, right? Number C, if we are going to cut number C, what is going to affect, how cutting number C is going to affect our body, right? Let's go number C. What is number C? What is number C, or which part is number C there? Number C, sensory neuron, right? If we cut sensory neuron, what is going to happen? If we cut a sensory neuron, the receptors you'll start here, right? The receptors, you'll say the receptors will pick up or will detect the stimuli, right? Then what's going to happen after the receptors detect the stimuli, send it the impulse, convert it to impulse, and you can write it, convert. They said 4 marks, right? Yes, 4 the receptor spam. Okay, but the receptor will detect the stimuli, right? And then the receptor here, you also write the receptor will convert stimuli into impulse, convert it into the impulse. So here's the thing: after converting the impulse, the impulse will not be sent to the central nervous system to be interpreted. So what is going to happen when we cut number C? Results, you will not react, right? This will result in you not reacting. You will not, this will results in you, or results in a person, or results in me, whatever the question that you want to put here, results in no response, right? In no response, right? Response, something like that, right? So it's when we cut number C. When we cut number C, we see that the receptors here, they are going to recept the stimuli. After receiving the stimuli, they are also going to convert it into the impulse. But now the impulse being sent to the central nervous system is going to be the wire that's going to be cut, and then the neuron that's going to be cut, and then this will result in our impulse not reaching the central nervous system, not getting to be interpreted, and then all in all, you will end up not reflecting or not responding to the stimuli. That's where you can hold a hot coal and hold it like that without you throwing it away, right? Reacting and a reflection arc. So number 5, they said what will happen if you cut number F. Number F is a motor neuron. So what will happen here? 1, the receptor, I'm just going to do like this. The receptor will receive, or the receptor will detect the stimuli, right? After detecting the stimuli, and then the stimuli will be converted into the impulse. The impulse will be moved to a sensory neuron. Sensory neuron will transmit the impulse to the central nervous system. After moving this to the central nervous system, the central nervous system is going to send the impulse to the motor neuron. But because we have the cut here, it means that the person this will also result in no response, right? In no response, but something is going to happen here. In no response, but you are going to feel the pain, right? you are going to feel the pain, or your brain, since the message has passed from receptor to the sensory neuron here, from sensory neuron to the central nervous system. It means that your brain now can interpret to, hey, there's a pain somewhere there. But the thing is that you cannot remove your hand because the effector is not affected, right? Effector is not affected. The effector, they are not getting the impulse. So these muscles here, they are not moving away from the fire. But when you can feel, hey, my hand is burning, right? You can feel, hey, my hand is burning, or my hand, it's painful, but I cannot move it. Maybe you are paralyzed or something, whatever the case it might be, that it will cause you to have this cut here. I hope you understand this. I hope you can explain this in a simplified manner. And then when you are answering this, check the allocation of marks, guys. If they say 4 marks, they will need you to give all the what we call the process, how it's going to happen, if this and this is going to happen. As you can see here, with a cut here, we only have the receptors and what, and the end result will be here. But with the effector here, this is happening. You are going to feel all this up until you are not going to remove your arm, right? So let's go to our question papers and see how they ask this. We did neurons. After doing the neurons, here will be our question paper 2023, right? November 2023, right? Or we can start with let's see, I think I canceled one question paper there. Let me see, where can I find it? Fast 2018, right? You'll end up seeing things. Hey, come on, yo, question papers 2018, come on 2018, and then paper 1, man, paper 1, something like that, right? So thank you. So we start with 2018. I want to show you something in this question paper before we can move on to our 2023, right? Allow me. Then we'll have 2018. You'll see how they will ask these questions right here. You'll see how they will ask these neurons things, right? So you'll scan your question paper. We know how to scan the question paper up until we go to the questions here, 1.4, right? 1.4. So with 1.4, they said in here, 1.4, let's use our pen. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Number 4, the diagram below represents a possible path followed by an impulse when a person touches a hot plate, right, or a hot surface, right? This one will be our 2018, right? So this is the thing. Where now you have to know, this is just a path, right? They change the path. This will be our reflex arc shown by an impulse. The impulse is moving when a person touches a hot surface. When I should be able to differentiate between these three, which of this is a sensory neuron, which of this is an interneuron, and which of this is a motor neuron. As you can see, we said sensory neuron, they are differentiated by this body protruding outside. If they can give a differentiate between a motor neuron and a sensory neuron, this will be your definition, or this will be your differentiation. The sensory neuron, they have their cell body protruding or away from the axon. They can give you that, right? If now you can just come up with a simplified explanation for you explaining this. Now when I say protruding, just another word that we use in life science, right? The cell body here, you can see it's protruding, or it moved away from the axon. And then here with a motor neuron, we said the motor neuron here, the cell body, you can see it is surrounded by our dendrites, and it also have the long axon affecting the affector here. So here we can use this scanning the question paper before we can answer. So we'll agree with me that number E is a sensory neuron, and then number D there. Let's start from A. Where is A? Number A here, because it's coming from the motor neuron. You can see this one. You can agree with me. This one is a motor neuron. Number B, this one will be motor neuron. And from motor neuron, we know that motor neuron go and affect something called an effector, right? And then from there, number F will be the receptor. Right? Number G there, you can see number G there is a myelin sheath, right? And then number D there, this one will be synapse. And then number G there, this one will be our interneuron or our connector neuron. So we can go and answer our question fast with those interpretation, right? But 1.4.1, but name the path represented in a diagram. Name the path represented. We talked about this path. The name of the path, it will be a reflex arc, right? When I know that a reflex arc is a path, right? This is a path, or this is a name given to a path that impulses undergo. What is a reflex arc? A reflex arc is a path that impulses undergo, right? The name of that path is a reflex arc. You'll agree with me, right? I want you to agree with me so that we move on. Number 1.4.2, identify the types of neurons. We want the type of neuron represented by number. You say A, B, C. And then in number A, they want B. Number B, they want C. Number C, they want A, right? So you write them like this, and then you come here and see number B. Where is number B? Number B. This one will be our motor neuron. And then number C, interneuron or connector. Interneuron or connector neuron, right? It will be up to you which one do you use. Even the motor neuron here, they can also, this one is a efferent neuron, right? But this motor neuron, interneuron, sensory neuron, these are the well-known names, right? The number E there, it will be our sensory neuron, right? Neuron, also known as afferent, right? Afferent neuron, right? So these three: sensory neuron, interneuron, motor neuron, worldwide known. Efferent, connector, other alternative names, right? So anyhow, any name that you use there will be fine with the marker, as long as when you know what you're talking about. So the connector will be the connector, efferent will be the efferent, but mostly they will use motor neurons, right? I want you to agree with me on that part before we move on. Give the letter only of the part that represent the receptor, number A and number B. They want what? They want only the letter that represent a receptor. Between these two, the receptor will be number F. We have already cracked these questions, right? And then number effector will be number A, right? So 1.4.4, you see how simple it becomes to answer questions after decoding the structure that they're giving you up there. Even if you don't know other labels, maybe for example you don't know number D, you can leave this unanswered. You will come and see when, if they are asking, whether they are going to ask this or whether they are going to give you a clue, right? As you can see here, the efferent and the effector and the receptor, they didn't say labeled them, they said give us the letter. In other books, they can say labeled number A and number F. Well, now you know the sensory neuron connected to a receptor up until it goes to the central. This one will be our central nervous system. This one will be our central nervous system. And then tomorrow, Thursday, we'll be doing with our peripheral nervous system. It will be this part going down there, right? Tomorrow, join us when we do the peripheral nervous system. 1.4.4. With 1.4.4, it said give the letter and the name. They want the letter followed by the name of the, say number A, they want the letter of the region where the impulse is transmitted chemically. This is a region, right? This is a region, you know, a region is a location, you understand. Give us the region, or give us the letter of the region where the impulse is transmitted chemically. You know the region, it's a synapses, number B there. Then we will say number D, because they say the letter and the name will be D and the name will be synapse, right? Something like that. Then number B, if I'm making mistake, guys, comment. Feel free to comment, guys. So Mr. Pepu, you did mistake somewhere. The answer there was this, and they say this. It's fine. We are learning, right? This will be our podcast and chill. You sit down, you relax, and we learn, right? You agree with me, we move on. You'll see, or you can hear from my speaking, that every time after saying something, I said right, because I want you to agree wherever you are. You agree, right. You agree, yes. Agree, yes. You agree, you don't agree, no. You say it. Number 5 or number B, but part, give the letter and the name of the part that has an insulating function. This is the letter and the part, the name of the part that has an insulating function. What do we use to insulate our axon? We use it myelin sheath, right? So they want the myelin sheath and the letter. What is the letter? The letter will be G. They will agree with me, and the name will be myelin sheath, right? So this is how they can give you even the, what we call, even the reflex arc or reflex action. They can provide it like this, or they can provide the full reflex arc, right? Let's go to our question paper 2024. let's go to this 2023. Let's finish here today. This will be our last one, 2023. This will be our last question paper, paper 1, right? Don't forget that now we are dealing with paper 1, guys. We are at paper 1. Now we are at paper 1, right? So we haven't done this, we haven't done these questions. We are starting these questions this term 2, right? So we'll move on. You'll scan your question paper. You see there's a graph. You know, another thing that you'll have to understand, that in life science you have to what do we call another thing, to come on, to sharpen up your skills when it comes to graph, right? We have the line graph, we have the histograph, we have the bar graph, and then we have the pie chart. Well, now you have to learn and interpret this, right? Knowing that with our graph, you write the table there, you write this, you name the x-axis and the y-axis, you use the scale, If they say line graph, you represent with line graph. If they say histograph, you are going to represent this with the histograph. Histograph is a histogram, something like this, right? If it's the bar graph, one thing at a time. So that was a tip there. Let's move on. You scan, you are still going to do a human ear. You can see you are still going this one here, it was a reproduction. You can see this one is reproduction. We didn't do this, it was done term 1. So you are scanning the question paper, and then you can see the dog style there, ovipary, those reproductive vertebra, right? And then sex reproductive by male there, the glands, the what there, you'll see that, interpret it, right? You can see there's also here, they say draw the histogram. You see that they want you to draw histogram 6 marks, right? You can see these marks here, these questions here bring more marks, right? So you have to interpret, or you have to, we'll come and do this, right? We'll come and do this number of prostate cancer cases. We'll come and do this one day, while we are dealing with a revision of everything, right? So today or this week, you understand, or you agree with me that we are dealing with the response to the environment by humans, dealing with a human nervous system, a brain, and the spinal cord. The spinal cord, we are going to do the neurons, the connectors, those connecting things with the neurons. We are going to do the reflex action from there. Tomorrow we'll be dealing with peripheral nervous system. So with that being said, guys, thank you for being here. 2.4, we're going to start with 2.4. Another thing, this one will be our, you can see this one is brain, right? This is the topic that we are dealing with this time around. We did this Monday, right? And then they said, we did this Monday. After doing this Monday, you will agree with me, right? You'll agree with me, did this Monday. Then 2.4, the diagram below represents the part of central nervous system of a human, right? We did central nervous system there. Then from there, if you forgot the spelling of central nervous system, you can come and copy it here. Then after that, in brackets, you write C and S. Life science, another thing, life science, they can give you the clues. You might find that question 2.4, it was answered at choose column 1, column 2. Are you aware? Are you aware, guys? Let's talk about this. Are you aware that in life science, you might find that these parts here, they were mentioned somewhere. You can just go there and copy those answers and bring them here, right? So it will need you to have the scale of what is being needed. If you have come across that thing, you can now just go and copy, like, yes, central nervous system, right? 2.4.1, and then they said, identify. This is the brain. Okay, you are scanning. This is the brain. The brain, you know, it's made of these parts. We have the biggest parts there, cerebrum, right? Cerebrum. We talked about this. And then we have number B there. Number B, cerebellum. Then we have number corpus callosum joining 2 factors. And then number E there, we have the pituitary gland. And then number D there, we have what we call the medulla oblongata. Then number C there, we'll have the spinal cord. So this will be, you can see that this is a simplified structure. This is how they're going to ask you. This was 2023. So this is how, if they are bringing the human brain, this is the brain that they're going to bring. They're not going to bring those frontal lobes, apical lobes, what, all those parts of brain. The brain is a complicated machine, my guy. So know this one, right? And then 2.4.1, identify part labeled C. You're going to say number A and then number B. They want part labeled C. Here they want part labeled E, right? So you can go part labeled C, spinal cord, right? Part labeled B, it's a spinal cord. You have already answered that when you are doing this, right? And then number B, gland E. Gland E, we were talking about that gland. This gland is a pituitary gland, right? It's a pituitary gland. I wrote a spelling here. It's a pituitary. I'm not sure, but this is the spelling. It's a pituitary gland, right? Pituitary gland, named pituitary gland, right? Anyhow you want to claim this, this is how you have to come up with the name. When we ask you about this gland, you have to write this name here. How are you going to claim it? Hey, that one will be you and your 2024 skills, right? So 2.4.2, but give the letter of the part that controls voluntary action. We talked about this, guys. We talked about this. I said there is a part that controls voluntary action, and we also have the part that coordinate. We talked about we have the part that coordinate voluntary muscles or voluntary actions. We also have the part that controls voluntary action, and which the part that controls voluntary action, it will be number A, cerebellum. The only one, the letter. Don't be confused or don't get excited and write everything down. They can penalize you for writing cerebellum because where are you getting this cerebellum? Do you understand? Hence they are asking you the letter, because there's the letter there is not the name there, unless they want you to name that part there. 2.4.3, with 2.4.3, let's go down here. 2.4.3, our 2.4.3, describe the location. We want the location now. Describe the location of the corpus callosum. Where corpus callosum is located. Where is this corpus callosum located? It is located, yes, it is located, or you can just come between the left and the right, between the left and the right hemispheres, right, of the brain or of the cerebellum. It's when now you are flexing, telling them that I know that it is located between the left and the right hemispheres of the cerebellum, right, connecting. Though they wanted only the location here. If they said give us the function, you see it's 2 marks. Give us the function of corpus callosum is to allow the connection between the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. But they want the location there. The location, it is located between the right and the left hemisphere. They give you one of the cerebellum. They give you another one because you understand what they're saying, and they wanted you to provide a 2 marks worth of an answer, right? Even after you answering your question, you should sit down and say, if there was a marker coming to mark here, how is this person going to give me these 2 if I only answered between cerebellum? Yes, it's between cerebellum. You can get that one of cerebellum, right? Cerebrum, right? But it's between the left. We have 2, so it's between there. So you can mark yourself there. 2.4.4. Moving on, 2.4.4, where Elena suffered a brain injury. Elena suffered a brain injury during a rugby match. He could still breathe. It means we are fine. We know the part that controls breathing. He could still breathe properly, but he experienced occasionally loss of memory and balance, right? Balance, we know there's a place that controls balance, and we also have the place that controls memory, right? Because he occasionally lost, it means that there was a what do we call what the name that I want? There was a disturbance in the part that carries memory, and there was a disturbance in a part that carries balance. You know these 2, so let's go to our question. I don't want to answer here before we can come to our question, because you know that the questions are coming here. The question they are going to ask us based on this scenario here. Number A, the learner explain why. Why the learner was still breathing, right? So explain why the learner could still breathe properly, right? Give us the explanation why the learner could still properly. We can say because it means that, or because part D, right? It means part D, or because why. They're saying why. We can say because part D, which control the part D here, which control the breathing. Because part D, or we can write because medulla oblongata oblongata, because part D or medulla oblongata was not affected, right? Affected, right? Or was not injured, was not affected or was not injured. Anyhow, you want to kill this cat, right? So, and then this part here, why are you choosing this? They explain why the learner could still breathe, right? Because the part D medulla oblongata was not affected, and this part here controls, you have to say this again, because this part here controls breathing, right? Breathing, right? So because the medulla oblongata controlled breathing, and then the person was fine with breathing, we can now conclude that this part here that controlled breathing was not injured, right? You are moving, you are agreeing with me. Then number B, they said it is explain why it is possible that the injury affected part B. Which one is part B? Part B. Explain why it is possible that the injury affected part B. You come here and said, okay, they want us to explain why it is possible that the injury affected part B. You come here and said part B, on our diagram here, or part B is cerebellum, right? Cerebellum. Part B is cerebellum and controls the balance, right? That explain it is possible that this person was injured, it controls balance, and it was reported, and the learner occasionally lose balance, right? Lose balance or lose the balance, right? So because the person lose the balance and the part that controlled balance is cerebellum, we can now conclude, or we can explain that there is a possibility of part B being injured, right? It's not only part B there. Where do we find this? We find it here, right? I told you here, right? And then number C, this one, it will be like a memory one, this A, B, C. Let's see. But the hearing, the hearing of the learner could also be affected, right? Could means that there was a possibility of hearing to be affected because of the injury. Explain. Mind you, go back to the main main question that they want. They want you to explain why the hearing of the learner could also be affected because of the injury, right? You can say that hearing, it is controlled, right? It is controlled at cerebrum. Sorry, we know that the hearing, all five senses, the sight, the hearing, the feeling, the touching, the what, they are controlled at cerebrum. So they want us to explain why the hearing of letter could be. There was a possibility of this learner to lose hearing. We can say the hearing, it is controlled at a cerebrum, right? And from our statement, you can write everything. It's 2 marks, right? You can write and from the statement, it's when you are flexing now, trying to show them that you understand whatever you're talking about. And from the statement, comma, the learner occasionally you write what you were given on the example here, on the extract here. You don't write your own thing. A hearing, it is controlled at a cerebrum. From the statement, the learner occasionally lost memory, right? Lost memory, which it is caused with memory, right? Okay, learner occasionally lost memory, which it is also controlled by the cerebrum, right? Therefore, you write therefore, comma, therefore there's a possibility that the hearing, therefore there would be the possibility of the learner to be affected. I'm writing things now. I'm elongating this answer, right? Maris 2 marks, I'm elongating this answer. I want to shorten this answer here, as you'll excuse me. Therefore the learner will be let's remove this. He's saying that, my guy, You see now, look at the last minutes. Okay, they are saying they explain why the hearing of the learner could also be affected because of the injury, right? We are saying that, or we are taking this answer, we are answering this from the hearing, right? The hearing, it is a control at the cerebrum, right? They give us this cerebrum, and then from the statement, the learner occasionally lost memory, which is also controlled by the cerebrum, right? Therefore, the hearing, therefore the hearing of the learner could also uh, of the learner could also be affected, right? Yeah, now we are done. Now we have done it, right? Because of the injury, if you want to write because of the injury, so the hearing of the learner could also be affected because we affect, or you can just come here, this can be affected because we affected a place where the memory is stored, and or from this scenario here, the learner lost memory which is controlled at a cerebrum, right? Since the cerebrum here, it shows that it was injured, we can also possibly say that the hearing of the learner was also affected, since this hearing, it is interpreted in a cerebrum, or it is interpreted from a place where the person suffered memory, same place. However, you want to kill this cat, right? Let the cat be dead. But it's 2 marks, so when you will have to what we call, you have to reference to the cerebrum. So this one will give you another 1 mark if you are basing your answer at cerebrum, and then connecting the losing of memory with the same thing that is being controlled with the hearing, right? The hearing is controlled from a same place with a memory. Due to the loss of memory, we can conclude that this place that control our memory and our hearing was affected. So due to that, we can now conclude that the learner could also be affected in the hearing side, right? Even the side here, now we can now if here they can say explain why the sight of the learner could also be affected from the injury. They can say explain why they can talk about the sight, we can talk about the hearing, we can talk about feelings, right? We can talk about the smell, right? It means that after injuring from that rugby, the person got whatever. Hey, we have another one, 2.5. Askis. We have another 2.5. It means that we'll end up Kawuma 30 minutes there, or 5 minutes. Let's do this in 5 minutes. Okay. Come on here. The efficiency and the speed of a knee jack. Oh, I wanted to talk about this. If you can see here, we have the we have the knee jack. Come on, cancel. I collected something here. Man. Where is that thing? I lost it. So okay, let's move on, right? We have an example of a knee jack. I wanted to show you an example of a knee jack. I wanted to show you an example of a knee jack, right? Having a knee here. A first thing, we have a knee here, right? And then we have a hammer. I can do this. We have a hammer here, and then this hammer is going to be, they are going to hit you here. Then after hitting you, your leg is going to be raising up. It means that your leg is going to do like this, right? This is a reflex, right? And then they will come here and take a nerve here to the spinal cord, right? Spinal cord, you'll see the dorsal root there. Then the dorsal root will come here to the spinal cord. Here's the thing right here. Here's the thing here. Then from the spinal cord, we will have another motor neuron bringing the effector to this leg here. And then this will be your result, right? So the stimuli, the receptor, everything is like this. We didn't talk about this, but something like this they can also bring examples like this, right? Hence I also chose to do this question here. The efficiency and the speed of a knee jack is this response here, right? Reaction is very important for balance and movement, right? And this thing is very important for balance and movement. And then the stimulation of the patella tendon, these are the tendon in our leg, right? These are the patella tendon. So this will be the stimulator. So this will be our receptors just below the kneecap, right? Just below the kneecap here. Patella, this is the patella, the thing that your kneecap, the thing that you move when you move your knee, right? There's a knee, There's something here that moves. That is a patella, right? But it causes the contraction and relaxation of a quadriceps muscles in your upper leg here, right, on your upper leg, right, where I was saying that the effector is going to be affected. So here's the diagram here, but the diagram below represent the reflex arc for the knee jerk reaction, right, containing one way synapse only, containing only one synapse. The arrows indicate the transmission of a nerve impulse, right? So it means that our tender here is going to be it's going to be stimulated and then convert the impulse to the spinal cord. You can see here this is our sensory neuron there, having that dorsal root there, right? And then there we have only one synapse. Yes, the question, they have only one synapse. It means that from a sensory neuron, the neurons are sent straight to the motor neuron. You can see the motor neuron here leaving our spinal cord, going to our quadriceps muscles on our leg, right? This point here. You'll agree with me, right? So this one here, you can see we don't have the central, the interneuron, right? In this example of ours, right? But we have the central nervous system there, which will be the spinal cord, and we also have the synapses there, the gap that you understand, right? Then about 2.5.1, let's do this in 5 minutes. We are just passing by here. You can see that they can also give you the full reflex action, right? This was 2023. They can also give you the full reflex action or the reflex arc, right? Or just give you a small piece here showing something like this, right? But what is a reflex action? There's a reflex arc and a reflex action. What is a reflex action? But a reflex action, number 2.5.1, what is a reflex action? A reflex action is an action, or it's a quick response, right? It's a quick response, or it's an autonomic response, or it's a rapid response. Let me write it down. 2.5.1. This one we can say this is a rapid, right? You can say it's a rapid, a rapid, or you can say it's a quick autonomic. You know that this is a quick autonomic, right? We can say it's a quick autonomic autonomic response to what? To the stimuli, to a stimuli, or to the stimuli, whatever, to the stimuli. So we are rapid, or we are quickly and responding to the stimuli, and autonomically, or you can say involuntary. We do this without thinking, right? Hence we said autonomic. Yes, autonomic or automatic, right? Autonomic or automatic, right? This is a rapid autonomic, or this is a rapid automatic response. It's a happening kabuyon, right? So 2.5.2, be able to differentiate between a reflex arc and reflex action. An arc is the pathway, right? An action is a response, or it's an action brought upon by a reflex arc, which is happening automatically, and it involved involuntary response, right? We are responding to what? To a stimuli. Thank you. You understand that? 2 marks. So it means that we're not playing with a rapid response. You are to get one responding to what? To the stimuli. They are also going to give this one. Then number 5.2.2, number A, I said state. They want us to state one reason why a synapse is significant. They want one reason why the synapse is significant. We talked about this yesterday, right? The synapse allows, or only makes sure that the transmission of impulse is only happening in one direction, right? You can come here and say to make sure, however, to make sure that the impulse follows the same direction, or goes, you can say goes the same direction, right? Direction, or we have one direction of a synapse, of an impulse. This is a one significance, right? You can have this, or you can, so it ensure that the impulse is transmitted in one direction, or it makes sure that we don't overstimulate, and then we make sure that we have do you understand? Something like that, right? We make sure that the impulse follow the same direction, or the impulse is transmitted in one direction, and we also make sure that we are not overstimulating, and it also makes sure that another one, that we don't overstimulate, and then another one will be the significance of synapses. Yeah, You think another one, right? They want one mark, I gave you two. They want to make sure that the impulse is transmitted in one direction, and another one we don't overstimulate. And then what will be the other one? The other one, the significance of synapse. To make sure, yeah, you'll think another one, right? Number B, but the importance of a knee-jerk reaction. What will be the importance of knee-jerk? They told us here, or this one is very important for balance. It's very important for balance and movement, right? And movement, right? So that was the given one 2.5.1, 2.5.3, and then Barry describe 5 marks. Describe the pathway, they want the arc, right, of the impulse in this reflex arc to bring about the knee jerk reaction, right? Describe the pathway of the impulse. So we want the impulse, how the impulse is going to move in this reflex arc to bring about change, right? This will be our last question. Thank you for being here. We are going to do this, right, in answer form. Describe the pathway. The impulse will be detected by the patellar tendon, right? The impulse or the stimuli, you say the stimuli, since you say the stimulating, right? They want the pathway, right? The stimuli, you can start there with our patellar tendons will get stimulated and then convert the stimuli to the impulse, right? Then from there, the impulse will move. The impulse, 5 marks, the impulse will be transmitted, through shoulder, sensory neuron, through sensory neuron via dorsal root to the spinal cord, right? From there, the impulse, you can look there, the impulse, when what is happening inside the spinal cord, the impulse is being transported from sensory neuron straight to the motor neuron, right? Because we have only one synapses, we don't have the interneuron. Don't make that mistake, because if you cram this and say they from this to interneuron, from interneuron, they are going to say, hi, this person crammed this. They're going to penalize you. So describe whatever is happening here. So you will see that the impulse there will be transferred, 5 marks, will be transferred from sensory neuron to the motor neuron. You can use via synapse, right? From there, with from this up until motor neuron, with motor neuron, you know that the impulse there, they want the pathway, right? The impulse is moving. We go on this. From there, the impulse will then be transmitted. You know the keywords, the impulse, the transmitted, send, what, those are not the keywords. When you say the impulse will be sent, no, it will be transmitted. The impulse will be transmitted via, you can go through or via, any word that you use, will be transmitted through ventral root, this part here, to the quadriceps, to the quadriceps muscles, right? Muscles. Then the last part will be that one will be the impulse, right? The impulse will be interpreted by the quadriceps muscles, and the muscles will react, right? The quadriceps muscle will react to the impulse. Then that's it. Whatever is happening now, we are no longer dealing with the impulse, right? Here they want the pathway of the impulse in this reflex arc. The impulse will start when these receptors convert a stimuli to the impulse. So we want the path of this impulse here being converted by the patellar tendon from the stimuli to the impulse. Then that's when the impulse will now start to move from sensory via dorsal root. We'll say this via dorsal roots, from dorsal roots to the central nervous system, which will be the spinal cord. From central nervous system, which will be the spinal cord, is going to be passed through synapses to the motor neuron. The motor neuron is going to transport the impulse via the ventral root to the quadriceps muscles. You don't say effector because they gave you the quadriceps muscles. These muscles here, they are going to act as your effector. When I don't, you can say it's going to be transferred via the ventral root to the effector, and then in brackets that effector will be the quadricep muscles, and then the muscles is going to react to that impulse, hence giving up the knee jerk reaction, right? Resulting, you can show that you know whatever you're talking about, resulting in a knee jerk reaction. So we are done, guys. That is from me. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to share, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, guys. Thank you. That is from me. Tomorrow we are going to do peripheral nervous system, and then from there we are going to do disorders Friday, and then we are done with this topic, guys. Same question. If they're going to ask you about the reflex arc, they are going to ask you to describe the pathway. You'll find these 5 marks questions 2.5.3 when they want you to describe the pathway of the impulse, or to describe the reflex arc from the receptor up until the effector. You have to describe everything. You have to tell them that the sensory neuron will transmit the impulse to the central nervous system via the dorsal root. You have to say that dorsal root, because that impulse is going to enter the dorsal root. It's going to enter that cell body, interpreted in the cell body. Then the impulse will be sent to the terminal axons of the sensory neuron. The terminal axons of the sensory neuron, they are going to remove the neurotransmitter. But if you can see here, I didn't include those of the neurotransmitter and what, because they only need 5 marks. So in these 5 marks, let's come here, right? Let's say this. Let's do this. In these 5 marks, they are going to give you according to the keywords that you are going to use, right? The first one, they are going to give you when you mention that the impulse, right? They're going to give you one when you mention that the impulse here is going to be transmitted. You have to use the word transmitted by sensory nerve, right? Sensory neuron, right? Sensory neuron. They're going to give you one here, and then it's going to enter. When you say it's going to enter the central nervous system via or through dorsal root, they can give you another one here, right? And then another one, the sensor is going to be passed. Now you are going to say the impulse here is going to be passed, or it's going to be transferred, or it's going to be transmitted to the motor neuron, right? Motor neuron via synapse, right? So whatever is happening there, the synapse producing the neurotransmitter being picked up by motor neuron, it's not necessary. We just want you to give us the summarized brief explanation of the impulse will move from sensory neuron to the motor neuron through synaptic gaps, right? Whatever is happening, synaptic gap is also another system. Same as this impulse now from the motor neuron, the impulse now will be transmitted. You are going to say to be transmitted from motor neuron or from central nervous system via or through motor neuron to the effector, right? They are also going to give you this one here of you understanding that this impulse of us is going to be transmitted from central nervous system, which will be the spinal cord in this case. It's going to be transmitted from central nervous system through motor neuron to the effector. They are also going to give you this one, right? You are now talking about the impulse, but if they say the full arc, you don't end up here from effector. The effector is going to react. You are also the effector is going to react to the stimuli. It's going to react to the stimuli, bringing upon reaction, right? Or causing reaction or resulting in a reaction. They're also going to give you this one here. So you can see that you can come with many explanation, but they're only going to mark you based on a keywords that you are going to put, right? The impulse, transmission, sensory, motor neuron, effector. That can be 5, right? For now you mention patella here, motor neuron, sensory neuron. This can be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So thank you. That was it from me. My name is Mr. Mpepu. Until we meet again, peace. Kurula kube nani. Peace be unto you. Ukuphula kube nani. mudalo vena vhathu vhoṱhe. Thank you guys, thank you guys, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for liking my videos, those who are liking my videos and those who are subscribing, those who subscribe today. I welcome you to my class. Subscribe. Thank you guys. That was it from me, ngwana wa Africa, being African transcribers as the whole class made up of 70 subscribers. We are 70 subscribers. We are 71 African transcribers. Thank you. Peace. Let me not waste your time. Until we meet again. Sharp. Peace.